So let me first show you a generic Takt plan. When I say generic, this is the exact format that I like to use, but it is generally depicting what a Takt plan looks like. This is not an example of a specific project. And this is an Excel, which is a widely accepted method for Takt planning. There are software packages out there that do really well with this, but right now we're going to be software agnostic and not talk about that specifically. If you'd like some recommendations, you can specifically find them in the Takt Planning and Integrated Control book that I have on as my background as I'm recording these videos. But to give you a high-level overview of what a Takt plan looks like, this is probably the best representation. So up here at the top, you'll see that I have 2018, 19, 20. So this was a template that I made in 2018. So it shows the years up above, and then the row down below shows the month, and then the row below that, row number 5, shows the actual weeks. So this Takt plan is in a takt time of 5, meaning every 5 days that beat hits for the Takt plan. The format is shown as such, so every column, like for instance this one right here, is actually a time scale. It's a time duration, and it symbolizes the transition of takt wagons from takt time to takt time, meaning that when you go from one takt time to another, the takt wagon designations or where they hit or where they occur changes. So this row number 5 here shows the weeks, and the number in there is the Monday of that week, so it shows what week that they're actually working in. The rows are very important because they symbolize actually 2 things, but we're going to prioritize describing them as representing the takt zone. But really within that takt zone, there's also a takt sequence. So the rows actually simulate 2 things. Now, I want to do one quick thing here. If you're looking at a Takt plan, sometimes you'll see it where one row is just dedicated to that takt zone and that sequence, but there will be other times, and I'll just do this briefly here, where you might see that there are other Takt plans or Takt phases specifically, meaning this is a phase and this is a phase, shown left to right just from spatial formatting issues, meaning opportunities where we want to show them side by side. So if you see that and you go down here to this row, well, this takt zone really only applies here, and this takt zone is a part of a different phase. So you can have multiple zones and sequences on a single row if we are visually showing those phases next to each other. But in this case, we're not, and I want to bring you back to this example and tell you that this takt zone and this takt sequence right here, that row only represents that one zone. And so you'll see each one of these individual cells represents the intersection of time and space. And so as those intersect, really that takt wagon shows you what work packages, what work steps, and what contractors are working in that zone at that time. And so Takt planning really focuses on the intersection of time and space. It's really a neat concept. And Takt planning really is the only scheduling system that does this. And so if this is important to you, you're going to love Takt planning. Now let's get down to some of the other basics here. You'll see these numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on in this legend over here. These represent what's called a takt wagon. That takt wagon or boxcar, whatever you choose to call it, symbolizes a grouping of work packages, or it could be just one work package that happens inside that wagon or that boxcar. And these boxcars, these takt wagons, and I'll call them takt wagons moving forward, are the packaging of work that fit within that takt time, within that zone, and become a part of hopefully a continuous, meaning it has continuity, a continuous sequence of work so that you have really good workflow. What I'm describing here is that this is an overall sequence. It's a takt sequence, and that sequence represents the work that's going to happen in that takt zone, and it's comprised of takt wagons that have work packages and work steps within them. And so the reason that we do this is so that we can see all 3 types of flow, and that is shown here by visualizing workflow within the area. And then I'll go ahead and highlight, let's just use 6 for an example, the trade flow as it goes from area to area, and then the logistical flow, meaning what zones happen in what sequence. Meaning, I'll erase this here in a minute, but this could be takt zone 1, this could be takt zone 2. It shows you the sequence, the flow from area to area that design, material selections, procurement, permissions, and coordination would have to follow in order to follow the flow logistically of construction.